and we'd like to welcome you again this afternoon. We're hoping you're having a great day as we begin G Suite for Primary Learners presented by the Technology Training Team. Please follow us on Twitter at T3PGCPS and visit our website at bit.ly/T3PGCPS. We are your instructors for today. My name is Clarissa Burton, and I'm joined here with Megan Eric, Monica Jenkins, and Marianne Santos. As we begin today's session, we'd like to first start with the why. Why use G Suite for education with our primary learners? And at first you might be thinking, and what comes to mind is they can't do it, it's too hard, they're still learning their letters, and we're here to kind of help alter that mindset a little bit, show you some ways to use G Suite with those primary students, allow them to use that technology to integrate it into your lessons and allow those students to be creative and expressive critical thinkers. We'd like to mention a resource that we have for you, this Google Apps for Littles. This is a book written by Christine Pinto and Alice Keeler. It is a fantastic resource. So if you're looking for something to read this summer, this is a fantastic read. Christine Pinto, she is a kindergarten teacher from California. And in her book, she really goes through that whole process. So beginning from starting out with logging in and going all the way through the end of the year with those kindergartens creating their own website. So a really great resource for you there. As we begin this upcoming year, some things to note as we're talking about G Suite for Littles is in pre-K and kindergarten, they're going to have access to iPads. And in first and second grade, they're going to have access to Chromebooks. So what does this mean? So when we're talking about G Suite, there are some apps that don't work on iPads. For example, Google Drawings does not work on the iPads. It's not an app that's available. But for our first and second grade learners, they will have access to Google Drawings on the Chromebooks. So when you're thinking about designing your lessons, that's something you may want to consider. But you will have access to all of these tools on the screen right now. So Google Slides for drag and drop types of activities and for student creation. Google Forms, when we're talking Google Forms and primary learners, there is the ability to add in images to those Google Forms, and you'll see a sample of that in a moment. And those images really help our students be able to use the Google Forms when they are taking that assessment. You also have access to Jamboard, and Jamboard is a whiteboard type feature on an iPad. In particular, there are a few more features you have access to, such as the auto draw, where the students can draw what they're thinking, and it will predict that icon for you. So a really great tool there, and you'll see some samples in a minute. And also Google Docs. In Google Docs, we might not be able to get as creative as we can in Google Slides, but there's a bonus feature to Google Docs. So Google Docs has voice typing. So when we're primary learners who aren't quite have the ability to type out the words yet, they do have that capability on Docs to use voice typing so they can get their thoughts out on paper. So we are going to look at a few samples to get started, and you're going to have access to all of these templates as well. So we're going to post in chat a link to our presentation so you have access to all of these. Megan just posted it right now, and you can look at them on your own time and see them as I go through them here. So I'm going to start with a Google slide, and this is a drag and drop, so it's the rhyming train. So as it pulls me out here, so here's an example where the students would drag the image over to the correct box. where it might fit in, so where the frog would go, and they drag it over to the og train here. Now, this is not a forced copy for you yet, so you would have to make a copy of this presentation. So I'm going to go through that with you. You're going to go up to File. You're going to go then down to make a copy, and then this entire presentation. Once you make a copy, you can edit it, change the images, change the text, and make it your own to distribute to your students. Another sample to go over here that I want to pay attention to is digital letter tiles. So when we are looking at the rhyming train, I think of that as maybe being an independent practice type activity. But when I'm looking at the digital tiles, an activity I'm thinking here are those magnetic letters that you might have in small group. So if you're doing small group on Zoom with your students this year, doing small reading groups, you might be able to use these digital tiles to build out words. So now we're building out the words from the story and kind of mimicking that same hands-on activity, but in a digital environment. And again, this one you have to go up to File on the left-hand side, go down to make a copy, and the entire presentation. So there are a few other activities here for reading. We do have a voice typing responses activity down here if you're looking in Google Docs, as well as some great graphic organizers. We know that we want to help our students think through the stories and the different ways to organize their thinking, so those graphic organizers are there as well. When we look into math, we have a few different math examples here for you. This tens frame I'm going to point out is a Google Drawing. So as I mentioned a little bit ago, Google Drawing is not going to work on the iPad. So this 10 frame is not going to work with our pre-K and kindergarten students. But for my first and second grade teachers here today, this 10 frame would be great for you to use with Google Drawing. There's a few other Google Slides presentations, but I'm going to open up this sample of the number line. So this number line is in a Jamboard. If you're not familiar with Jamboard, it is part of the G Suite app. And in Jamboard, as you'll see, it looks like a big whiteboard here, and your students would be able to fill in the number line and drag down the numbers. In this sample here, it looks a little bit different. If you're familiar with any of the G Suite apps, normally there's that menu bar at the top, and you don't see that with Jamboard. What you do see is there are 3 dots on the right-hand side, and whenever we see 3 dots in Google, we know it means more options. So if you want to use this jam, you're going to go select those 3 dots and go down and choose Make a Copy. So we ask that you do not edit this example, but if you go down to those 3 dots and make a copy, it can be yours in your Google Drive. And we know the value of SEL, especially right now, and our students, our pre-K and kindergarten students that are going to school for the first time, and instead of in a building, you know, it's going to be online. So we always want to make sure that we're checking in and helping build those relationships and social skills that they're going to need when they re-enter into that classroom environment. So there is a jam here on kindness sorting. So when I talk about a jam, I mean Jamboard. It's just one of those phrases that we come up and use. There is a slide here which is about feelings from the heart, and there's a full lesson from Innovating Play. It is another book written by Christine Pinto. So if I'm a big fan of hers, you might become a big fan of hers too after today's training, but that whole lesson is on our site, and the link is here. And up here at the top, this is a Google form. So I'm going to mention and show this example. So I talked about adding images to forms and the value it has when we talk about G Suite for our primary learners. So on this form here, you'll see that they've added in their video so they can watch a song about feelings. And then down here, you'll see that these images were added so that the students can check in and decide how they're feeling. So they may not be able to read the word happy, but they see a smiley face and can assimilate that with happy. So just a great way that you can use Google Forms and meet their needs. For this example of forms, you will see there's no make a copy here. It is a pre-made template, so up at the top, right-hand side, if you want to use this template, go up to the top right and choose that blue box and make it your own. And then we do have some general examples when we want to talk about other subjects, such as garden adventure and exploring the 5 sentences, and maybe you're looking at life cycle activities. All of these do come with lesson plans that you can take and use right away. We also have some anchor charts here. So when you think about your day in the classroom, you might think of that morning message you have on the whiteboard in your classroom. We're not going to be in the classroom, we're not going to have that whiteboard, but you can use these anchor charts in the same way. There are samples. So up here where it says anchor charts, if you click on that link, it will take you to some sample anchor charts that they made as part of that Innovative Play series. And they'll kind of show you what it would look like. So you see how they use icons a lot instead of words. So assimilating icons to mean different things with our primary learners, as well as the blank ones, which if you select this picture here, it will take you to a blank copy for you to make your own anchor charts. All right, so you saw a lot of different examples, and I've done a lot of talking in this past 12 minutes as we've gotten started. So we want to hear from you in chat. What types of activities are you interested in? Maybe ones you saw, and which ones are you excited to get started and trying? So go ahead, open up that chat window on your toolbar and tell us what you're excited for. What are you interested in? Yeah, so the drag and drop definitely show you how to do that in a few minutes when we move into our breakout rooms. Loving that. All of them, absolutely. The digital letter tiles. So one thing I forgot to mention about the digital letter tiles is that one's already done for you. Creating letter tiles can be a little time consuming, and when you make a copy, it just saves you that time of not having to create all those individual letters for yourself. Yeah, the math activities, I always feel like thinking of math online is kind of a hard concept. So when we see those samples and see how easy it is to integrate math with digital learning, it really helps us kind of think outside the box when it comes to math. So in that sample, those were all lowercase. We do have a sample that you will see in a little bit when we look at our template we're going to make today, where we do have uppercase tiles already created for you to use. So we will have those blocks available for you as well. And we'll post again the link to this presentation so you have access to all of those examples. You can make a copy of them, use the templates, and edit them and make them your own. So everything that you see here today is available for you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at what we're going to make today. And we are, I'm going to pause for a moment. We are going to show you how to put these in Google Classroom and make them accessible for your students. So we will get to that after our breakout room today. We're going to tie it back together and show us how to give this, this content to your students. All right, so we're thinking back to school, right? Those activities that we're going to do with our students so we get to know them a little bit better and build that community online, because we know how important it is to get to know our students at the beginning of the year. And it's going to be a little bit different this year when we're going online, so we have an activity to get started for you today. So we want to get to know our students, right? We want to know about them, what do they like. This is going to be a drag and drop activity we're going to make in Google Slides. So the circles are all colors that they can choose from, the shape. So we try to keep it simple, where we kind of gave them something to choose from, but a really great way to get to know them. We're going to have 2 groups today. So the idea is that we meet your learning style. So we're going to have one group that's going to go a little bit slower and look at making that whole presentation with starting from going into Google Slides, resizing the canvas, and working on these different activities for the Slinky group. And then the other group, the Buzz Lightyears, they're going to move a little bit quicker and add a little bit more than the image you just saw. So they're going to look at some importing, some word art, and adding audio. So they're going to move a little bit faster in that Buzz Lightyear group. So you had a little pre-work before today's session to kind of decide which group worked best for you. And so we're going to divide into those 2 groups in a minute. And Monica's going to work with our Slinkies, and Marianne's going to work with those Buzz Lightyears. And Megan has been reaching out. So if you didn't get a chance to pick your group ahead of time, we're making sure we put you into those breakout rooms now.
It's coming.
All right.
I uploaded everyone and now they are not there. So that's awesome. It's good.
So just as we're getting ready to go into those breakout rooms, don't worry. One thing you can do is make sure that you have your Chrome browser open and that you are signed into your Gmail. So that way you're ready to go for this interactive piece where you'll be able to build with us.
Okay, so I'm about to send you in. If you had not filled out the form, you'll stay in the main room and then I'll move you into the appropriate rooms. So for those of you who are pre-assigned, you'll be headed out in just a moment. All right, okay. So take just a moment to move those of us who didn't get a chance to fill out the form, and I'm taking a minute to move the instructors over as well. Okay. All right, so if you would like to be only the Slinky, I'm going to ask that just the Slinky types their name in chat, and then everybody else will be Buzz Lightyear. So if you're hoping to be Buzz Lightyear, then just sit tight for a minute. If you're hoping to be Slinky, which is the slightly slower group, I can just put your name in chat, please. So if you could actually type your name, that would be actually helpful for me. All right, so. And then you should see something appear on your screen to send you over. And I'm assuming if everybody else did not type their name in chat, that you are being asked to be moved to Buzz Lightyear. And L. Zeitz, I've already requested to move you over to that group, so you should see something on your screen moving you there. All right, so everybody else, take just a moment and I'll get you into Buzz Lightyear. All right, I see we have a few people who are still listed as not joined, so I'm going to move you and then bring you back. And Teresa, if you could let me know in chat if you would prefer to be in the Slinky group or the Buzz Lightyear group. And remember, the Slinky group will be starting from the beginning of slides, where our other group will be going a little bit faster and doing a few other features. So if you could just type in chat if you'd like to be Slinky or Buzz Lightyear, which is additional features. right, Teresa, I'll go ahead and move you over to Buzz Lightyear. Thank you. Madeline, I see your chat. Is that because are you telling me that because you don't want to be in the Buzz Lightyear group? All right, so Elzites, I've moved you twice. I'm gonna try to move you back to the main room if I can. I may have to move, if you haven't seen anything, I may have to move you to the opposite group and then bring you back to this group.
Okay.
All right, so. All right, so for those who joined us after, we've already moved into our breakout groups. We have 2 sessions going on. We have our Slinky group, which is everything starting with slides and doing a few features, and then our Buzz Lightyear group, which is moving a little bit faster and adding a few additional features. So if you could just type your name in chat and let me know if you'd like to go with the Slinky group, which is this starting from the beginning, or Buzz Lightyear, which is just a little bit faster. And if I don't hear from anyone, then I'm going to just put us into the Slinky group. All right, thank you, Vera. All right, so Julietta, I've assigned you, but it seems like it didn't join for you. So I'm going to have to move you and then move you back in. And again, I'm seeing a few people saying not joined. There should be something that shows up on your screen to join the group. So Julietta, yeah, you were already in Buzz Lightyear, so I'll move you and move you back. All right, Julietta, you've been moved back to Buzz. There's a few people I'm still seeing as not joined, but I have no way to force it for you. Yes, that's me, Marcia, that's me talking. Because we're stuck in the main room, I haven't moved out of here yet to go into my breakout room. I'm still trying to get you guys. Oh, there we go, Juliet, I see you. I'm gonna go ahead and put you in Buzz. Perfect. Yep, Madeline, I don't know, you should have seen, if you are seeing just a picture of me, then it means you haven't moved into your breakout. I've technically moved everybody, but there should have been something to pop up on your screen to say join the breakout group. The only way I know of to force that is to keep moving you between groups. All right. So Elzites, maybe try leaving and coming right back in, and then I can move you to the correct room.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, hold on. You've been assigned. Okay, got it.
Perfect. All right. So anybody else who isn't seeing the prompt to move into their breakout room, you're just kind of waiting for that to show up. Maybe if you leave the meeting and try to come back, you'll see that prompt, so you can be moved into a room. But everybody's technically been moved. All right, Marsha, I'm going to move you into Buzz. Okay, I don't, all right. Lisa, we are in our breakout rooms. I'm going to move you into the Slinky room. And Madeline, I see you came back in. I'm gonna go ahead and move you to Buzz. For those who aren't able to go into rooms, are you on iPads or Chromebooks by chance? Hi, Marcia, I see that you're here back in the main room. Can you tell me in chat what kind of device you're using? Are you happen to be on an iPad or a Chromebook? All right. Same question, Madeline. What kind of device are you on? If you could tell me in chat. Breakouts don't work on iPads or Chromebooks. So if you're on either one of those, that could be part of the problem why you're not able to get into a breakout room. Okay. And are you using Zoom, the web version or the installed version of Zoom? That could be why. It works better if you have the installed version of Zoom. So if you want to, you can leave again and then launch the actual application of Zoom instead of joining from the browser, and that will help you get into breakout rooms. The other thing is we are recording both breakouts, so if this has become a point of frustration, which I can imagine is, you'll still have a chance after we edit the recordings to see what happened in each of the breakout rooms. So I don't want you to feel like you're missing anything. It just you may not get it today. You'll have to wait a little bit to see that. But why don't you, if you're gonna go ahead and try that, why don't you leave, and then when I see you come back, I'll put you back in. And same thing, I see, Marcia, that you're on a personal Mac. So same thing. If you are using the browser version of Zoom, it's not going to let you into the breakout room. You have to be where it launches Zoom. So you also may want to try leaving and coming back in. And the same thing, we are recording the sessions, but I will try putting you into a room again. And Marcia, I'm trying to scroll back through chat to see which group you were trying to go to. Slinky. All right. So I'm going to try to send you a Slinky again. Thank you. Let's see if it works. Okay, welcome back. I see some of us are coming back from breakout groups, and we'll give a moment for everyone to be able to rejoin us before we wrap everything up. Hopefully those of you who were able to get in, you saw a lot of different things in your breakouts. Hopefully you learned a lot, or at least a few takeaways that you can start to incorporate into your practice. Okay. So it looks like just about most of us are back. Okay. All right. So I think just about everybody has made it back into the main room. Again, here was just everything that you hopefully had a chance to see. And remember that we did record both breakout rooms, so you'll have a chance to see what the other rooms saw if you need to see the other content. But to bring everything back together, once you've created these fabulous activities, we need to get them to our students, right? So we know that we'll be using Google Classroom as the way that we are distributing and collecting work. So when you are in Classroom, you'll click on the Create button that you would see at the top of the screen, and you'll choose the option for Assignment. Once you've clicked on Assignment, because all of these activities will be stored in Drive, you can click on Add in Google Drive, and then you'll find the activity that you made. So if you wanted to share the word sort activity or the My Favorites activity that we just saw created, you would locate that particular assignment or file, and then you'll choose how you want your students to see it. And remember, in Classroom, if we choose Can View, then our students are really just looking at the work. If we choose Can Edit, then the whole class is working on the same activity. So that could be fun, and we'll talk about a few strategies for that, but that may not be where we would start our year. We might work toward that, or that might be nice if you were working with a small group and you had 3 or 4 students that you wanted to work together on a particular activity. Most likely, you'll start out the year by choosing Make a Copy for each student. And that's the one that is kind of like us going to the copier, making photocopies for every student and writing their name on it and then passing it out. And that way everybody gets their own assignment to work on. And then, of course, you would go through the rest of the features of Classroom, of giving it a title and a due date and all of those little details for each assignment. But a few tips to help you. We know at the beginning we said absolutely our littles can do it, and they surely can. But we do have some tips that we want to use to set them up for some success with that. So the first one has to do with the way we get our students to the different features within the assignment. So when we're working with each other, we'll use like click on the image icon or click the cropping tool. But our students may not be ready for that. They don't know what that is. So one tip is to actually take a screenshot of the icon you want them to use and put it in the slide or whatever application you're using. The other option is if you chose to use slides and maybe you're using audio directions, in addition to using the icon, you may describe what the icon looks like. So instead of just saying click the image icon, you might say click the picture with the mountains on it, or something to give the students a little bit more detail about where you want them to go. Another great tip is we know that because we're targeting our primary learners, especially our pre-K and our K students might not be ready for typing, but sometimes we still want them to share their ideas. So a feature that Clarissa mentioned at the beginning is voice typing. And you will have access to this presentation if you don't still have the link from earlier. And this is just a little video to show you how to use voice typing in a Google Doc. But once you turn the microphone on, our students can just speak their ideas, and it turns it from speech to text. Now, it may not be perfect, especially some of our younger ones, depending how well they enunciate, but it's a great way to get their ideas flowing and for them to connect the text to their voice. Another really important tip, like we just said, you know, we don't necessarily want to put all the students in an activity at the same time. We also want to kind of take our time with which tools we're introducing to the students. Clarissa showed you so many great ones and you probably really want to jump into all of them, but maybe start with slides or start with jams, get the students used to that, and then move in to the other ones. But once we get to the point where we are collaborating with our students and we do have them in the same document, there's a few different ways that you might shape how you give them space to work. So one is by colors, and you could choose to have students know which slide to work on based on the color or the background of the slide. And you can see in this one where it shows just the backgrounds. Each student has a different color to work. So this would be a small group and they know which color to go to. For the sake of time, I'm not going to open the other ones, but you'll have a chance to open them when you revisit the presentation. If you're working in docs, you might actually put the students' names, create a table and put their names where you want them to actually put their work, so they know exactly where to go. And then finally, if you're working in Jamboard and you're creating jams for them, you may actually just put numbers. And they each, if your students are already assigned numbers, they know that whenever it's number 1, that's my work, and so on. So some of the same things you would do in a classroom where we have specific places to be, give them a specific place in a document. So we know that you had a chance to see a few different tools. We also have some resources for you, and I'll just open up one of these so you can see what it looks like. But we have a getting started for slides. We also have one for drawings, and we have one for Jamboard. So this walks you through a lot of the skills for the different tools. So this is another resource for you to revisit those 3 different tools: slides, drawings, and Jamboard. And then we do want to take time for questions, but before I come back to questions, I do want to just remind you of who your presenters were today and give you our contact information, because we are a little over time. I don't want to hold anybody. But today, Clarissa started off. I am Megan Eric. Monica was one of the presenters in the Slinky room, and Marianne was one of our presenters in the Buzz Lightyear room. So feel free at any point to reach out to us. You can also go to the RT3 webpage, which is on the Webinar Wednesday page. You'll find the resources from today. And then finally, if you were here today, we definitely want to make sure we mark you attended. So Marianne, thank you, posted the link for attendance in chat. And just go ahead and fill that out to let us know that you participated with us today. And of course, if you have additional questions, please feel free to drop those in chat. We'll stay on for a couple minutes to take care of those for you. But otherwise, we thank you all so much for joining us. And we hope that you were able to be inspired and to inspire your littles and give them a chance to do great things. Our primary learners may be young, but they are more than capable of jumping right in.